go ahead and mute themselves. Feel free to unmute if you need to ask a question. As I started to say earlier, you can ask questions in chat because I am using a PowerPoint. I won't see those till the end. But you can also just interrupt me as we go along and ask questions that way as well. And Abby's really good about stopping me if there's a question I need to address. So to make sure everyone's in the right webinar, this is the state aid walkthrough. So the first thing is important dates. February 1st is the date that state aid opens up, and then it closes on March 31st, 2021. We do recommend starting the process early. We recommend reaching out to your auditor as soon as possible to ask them for the information. We did, at the request of the webinar that we did 2 weeks ago, we did actually send out a letter via, we sent a letter to the League of Cities and to the Association of Counties asking them to forward a letter to the auditors for us. And we know that letter went out because we've been getting some questions, and we actually got our first auditor certification, which is null and void because they can't certify it until you've completed your state aid. So we do recommend, though, communicating so your auditors know that you'll be coming to them and asking them the information. So like other years, you will complete your state aid application in Counting Opinions. So the address for Counting Opinions is there. If you do not know what your login information is for Counting Opinions, you can contact the State Library's admin office at ndsladmn@nd.gov, and the phone number is 701-328-2492. And we will be sharing these slides with everyone afterwards, so you'll have that information as well. So one of the changes that we are making this year is we are hopefully simplifying the process. So if you have questions on state aid, you will contact Deputy State Librarian Cynthia Claremont Schmidt, and there's Cindy's contact information, or the State Data Coordinator, Michelle Belliet Unruth. And Michelle, I didn't correct your name spelling. Shoot, I'm sorry. And then the NDSL admin office contact info is there. So we are removing Abby as the middleman. So in the past, we've always said go to library development, and then library development would come down to admin and ask Cindy or Michelle the question, and then Cindy or Michelle would answer, and then Abby would bring the answer back to you. That's a little convoluted and complicated. So this year we're just saying go straight to the source. So you can reach out to either Cindy or Michelle, ask your question, and they will get back to you. So we have a few tips and tricks. The one I've already mentioned, contact your auditor ASAP. We strongly recommend that you print a copy for your files, and you should do that before you hit submit. Make sure that you hit submit when you are finished with your application. The auditor certification is due by March 31st as well. And we recommend that the auditor scan and email it once it's been signed. That deadline is a hard and fast deadline. And it's not postmarked by March 31st. It's received by March 31st. So that's why we're recommending that if the auditor has the opportunity to send it electronically, that would be the preferred method. If there is an answer that should be 0, put 0. Don't leave an answer blank. We have pulled together all kinds of information, everything you need to know on state aid in our state aid LibGuide. Now, if you don't know what a LibGuide is, if you're of a certain age like I am, you would know it as a bibliography. So it basically is just a tool or a resource we've created that pulls all of the information together in one space for you. So if you go to get to the LibGuides, we're actually going to be adding, maybe we already have, it wasn't on the website, or I didn't look today. But we are going to be adding the LibGuide logo down on the bottom of our website where where the Facebook and Twitter and calendar and all those logos are. But in the short term, you can get to it by going to the tab on our website that says for librarians and educators. And then there's a big cloud looking thing for the LibGuides. Click that, it'll take you to all our LibGuides. And then the state aid LibGuide lives within the library law LibGuide. If just as an aside, if you haven't checked out our LibGuides, I'd recommend doing it because there's a lot of really good information on a wide variety of topics. Abby, anything you want to add on the LibGuide?
Nope, that's good. Check them out.
Perfect. All right. So a couple changes to state aid for 2021. The most impactful is that income and expenditures will now be from the immediate preceding year. So to put that in English, the state aid app that you're filling out in 2021 should include both the income and the expenditures from 2020. This is a big change. But again, in the interest of simplifying it, we believe it's a change that will be better for you. What we found last year when we added the certification process for auditors is that because we were asking for the prior year's expenditures, but 2 prior year income, it was confusing. And oftentimes the auditor was submitting the prior year and it was causing all kinds of chaos and a lot of back and forth between our admin office and the auditors and the libraries. And really, we want to be able to give you state aid and we want it to be as simple as possible. So from this point forward, you will submit your income and expenditures from the immediate preceding year. What that means, however, is in prior years, we got the income from the tax department. And that's why we were doing 2 years prior, because that was the most recent figures we could get from the tax department. You will have to get this information from your auditor. We cannot provide it. We do not have access to those figures. So the state library will only pre-fill population and county square miles. Everything else is on the library to fill.
Bonnie has a question in chat. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it got answered because my internet cut out, but it says, is this that money that was budgeted in 2019 for what the library has to spend in 2020?
It would be the money that the library received and spent in 2020. So I believe it would be the budget that was prepared in 2019 but received in 2020. Did I say that correctly, Cindy? Okay, I see Cindy nodding her head.
Right, that's the way that I read it too.
Okay, that cleared things up. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Abby. So we just wanted to review for you what the auditor's role is in this process. So the auditor provides the fiscal information to the library. The auditor must certify the report. And if you have multiple cities and counties, which Rita, we know yours, I believe, is the most complicated. You work with the most city and counties, I believe. You must have one from each city and county that is served by your library and gives you money. NDSL will send a confirmation to the library when the auditor's certificate has been received. And you can find that auditor certification on our website on the publications page. And so there's the link for that. Are there any questions on the auditor certification? Again, just a couple points. The auditor cannot certify the information until you've completed the report. So you must submit your final report to your auditor to review in some way. That's one of the reasons we recommend that you print it. Generally, we do not give the auditors access to counting opinions. We give that access to the libraries. And we talked through this at length last year about what was the best way to do the certification. We really do feel that the separate PDF is the best option. But again, they should not be doing the certification until you've completed the report, because what they're saying is, yeah, this is accurate. This is the right information. And so part of that reason for doing that is so that we're complying with library law. But then the other part is, if we give you state aid based on your auditor certification and it's in error, that responsibility rests on the library and the auditor, not on the state library, since we can no longer verify that information. Is there a question in chat, Abby?
Rita says that last year she just took the link that is embedded within the state aid application, downloaded it, and emailed it to her auditors, which she said was easy for her.
Yep. That's the easiest way to do it. Perfect. Thanks for that tip, Rita. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
So we wanted to review the questions that are challenging questions. The first is 2.1, or is that 2.4, Michelle? Taxable valuation. This needs to come from the auditor. It should not be zero. Every city or county should have taxable valuation. Otherwise, they can't give you tax money. So it reflects the city or county's taxable valuation, not the libraries, but what is the city or the county's taxable valuation. 2.5, other public funds, does not include state aid, fines, donations, etc. You would get this figure again from your auditor. So that would be additional monies that your city or county may give you above and beyond the mill levy. 4.7, term limits. Board member term limits are set in Century Code. And the reason that we believe that this one is so challenging, because it's pretty clearly set in Century Code, 2 terms, three-year terms, max of 2 terms. That does apply to your city and or county reps as well. And we know that in talking with librarians over the years, we've learned that some cities and counties believe it doesn't apply. We have verified that with our Assistant Attorney General assigned to the State Library, and it does apply to all board members. 4.12 is control of the building. And one of the reasons I think this one is confusing is because so many of our libraries are within another building, whether it's City Hall or it's a joint community center building or, whatever. So what it means is that the board has control of the library's portion of the building. And so that's what Century Code says. So hopefully you can say yes to that. 4.20 is the library meeting the North Dakota Century Code guidelines for 40-38-10. As far as the state library knows, there are no libraries that are operating under 40-38-10. It is a way of creating a library for a very small population, and it would require a library to have a 3-person book committee that is appointed by the city or county, city council or county board. And so as far as the state library knows, everyone should be answering no to this question. If you are filling this out and your answer is yes, before you submit, this is the one question where we say reach out to Abby. You could also reach out to Cindy on this one, but if you are tempted to say yes to 4.20, please put down the pen, step away from the computer, pick up the phone and give us a call so we can talk through it and make sure that that's actually an accurate answer. And then 5.2 is willing to resource share. What this means is that you are willing to participate in interlibrary loan. You are willing to send your resources to other libraries. In order to be eligible for state aid, you have to be willing to participate in interlibrary loan. I think the reason this one continues to be on the list of challenging questions is because we have libraries who either are not automated at all, or they're a standalone library, or they're part of a standalone consortium. As long as if the state library called and said, do you have this item and would you send it? As long as your answer would be yes, then you say, yes, you're willing to resource share. It does not mean that a library cannot put restrictions on parts of its collection. So many libraries will not share reference materials. That's just kind of a given. Some libraries will not share brand new library materials for the first 3 months. Some libraries don't like to share local history, and I wholeheartedly support that because oftentimes it's the only existing copy of that. So that is all fine. It means in general, you are willing to share your collection if we ask you to. Now I will say, and I said this in the other state aid webinar as well, and I'm taking off my state librarian hat and putting on my Mary Susie library person hat, because this is not in state law and it is not in our ILL policy at this time. But if you are not willing to loan a certain category of items, for instance,
because it won't let me
you're not going to share DVDs, then I don't think you should borrow DVDs. But again, that's my personal opinion.
Except
So now I'm putting my state
I don't know
librarian
if I
hat
can
back
do
on.
it that way. I'll just call them.
Can someone mute? Oh, perfect. Thank you. So Abby, it looked like there might have been some questions asked. Oh, I think Abby might be on the phone right now.
No, I'm here.
Oh, perfect.
So
Are there some
Christine-
questions in chat?
Yes, Christine asked, does other public funds refer to local government funds? And then does it include state aid distribution funds, which is not state aid to public libraries? And then additionally, if it includes fines and fees.
It does not include fines and fees. It does not include state aid for libraries. It does not include donations. It does include all public funds that you receive from your city or county. So it would include the first thing you said, it would
Local
include
government funds.
Yes, it would include local government funds. It would include the state aid distribution, the non-state aid for public libraries part, the state aid that cities and counties get that they're passing on to their library. Did that answer the question?
Yes, I believe so. And that
Okay.
was the only question that round.
Okay.
Michelle did confirm that taxable valuation is 2.1.
Okay, thank you. I'll update my notes. Perfect. So that was basically what we had to share. What questions do you have? I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the last slide. Just there's my contact info if you should need it. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now so that we can see everyone. Have we answered all of the questions in chat at this point, Abby?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. What other questions do you have about state aid?
So Mary, under 2.5, this is Rita, where you've got additional funds and additional funds given by the city or the county. Donations that you receive, do those need to get reported in there too?
Like donations from individuals?
From individuals or local businesses?
No.
Or foundation?
Nope. It is strictly public funds.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Good question, Rita. And I'll just reiterate again, when you're going through this, if you're not certain, please feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. I mean, you can email us and we'll respond. And if it's after 4 o'clock, email's the best option. I don't know about you guys, but these days, if I don't send it at the time that I think it may be gone. So feel free to email us if it's after 4 o'clock, but please do not hesitate to pick up the phone and ask, call Cindy or Michelle. We are more than happy to provide that assistance. Julie, would it include grants? If the grant came from the city or county, it would not include grants, correct, Cindy? Even if they were from the city or county, that would not be considered public funds.
That's correct. But if you get a distribution through your city or county of state aid, not our state aid, but state aid, some people might look at that as a grant, but it's a distribution that would be included.
Right. Well, as you sit down to work on this, if you have any questions that come up, again, please feel free to reach out to us. We're really nice and we're always happy to help and answer questions. And our favorite part of our job is getting to talk to you guys. And so reach out at any time. And, you know, if you really want to submit questions to Abby because she's so nice and friendly, just know that Abby's going to just forward them right on to Michelle and Cindy so you can leave her out of the middleman process. But we're not telling you you can't talk to Abby. We're just saying you'll get a more direct answer if you talk to Cindy or Michelle. Well, we are from the state library and we always looking to help. And so today we helped you by giving you 40 minutes of your day back. So if you do have any questions, again, let us know at any time. We will be sending the PowerPoint slides out or posting them somewhere. Not sure which of those we're doing, but you will get them one way or another. So thank you everyone for your time and have a wonderful day. Bye everyone.